everyone, it's Shel from Paper Rock TO Studio, and today I'm sharing with you my Index Card a Day Challenge cards for days 23 and 22. To start out this card, I used some golden high flow paint and I just squirted it across the top and then put a lot of water on it and let it drip down. I wanted to make a night sky with some shadows in the background, which came out exactly the way I wanted it for once. And then I just took a little bit of titanium white acrylic and smushed it across the bottom so that it would be snow. So now I have a snowy forest at night. See how easy that was? That was like super easy. Went way better than I expected. And now I've gotten out my color boxes. You know, this is going to be a collage piece now because I got the color boxes out. These are my scraps that I sort into plastic boxes by color. And then I get these out and make what I call paper paintings, which is basically using scraps of paper to create a scene. So these are my little trees in the background in this little, this is deli paper that has some leftover paint on it or something, I don't know. Has a little bit of blue and brown in it, so I thought it was pretty cool. It's a good choice. And then I'm going to get out a darker brown piece here in a second that has a little bit more texture to it and make some little skinnier trees just to kind of fade into the background. The ones in the foreground are lighter and the ones in the background are darker, so that they seem further away. And they're also skinnier so that they seem further away. Does that make sense? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So that just sets my little scene pretty well. And next I'm going to work on my focal image. So I'm drawing my focal image with my mechanical pencil that has a 2B lead in it. It's a soft lead pencil, graphite. And I'm drawing a little fox. And I'm going to collage my scraps onto this deli paper and then cut it out. So it's a technique that I like to use, and I use it a lot when I'm doing bigger pieces and smaller pieces. Works great for these really small pieces. Index cards are not very big. These are 3 by 5. And they're not good quality paper either. They're pretty yucky. They buckle and bend, and I have to keep trying to flatten them back out. So now I've got my reddish orangish color box and then my yellow that has some lights and darks in it, and I'm pulling out some different pieces of paper I think I might use, adding a little bit more detail to the eyes of the drawing there. Then for this I'm going to use some lighter weight glue. This is from Deco Arts and it's called Deco Page. And the papers that I picked out are all lightweight, deli paper, or I think that the one with the orange and reds is it's paper from the printer that I jelly printed on probably or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was all very lightweight, so I didn't think that I needed a heavy-duty glue to do this portion. And I'm sorry that a lot of it is off screen. I'm really having trouble with staying in the center of my screen lately. I need to pay more attention. I just get involved in what I'm doing and I'm not paying attention, and then I want to be closer to myself so that I can see better. Maybe I need new glasses. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know. But I'm just using different color tones of paper. Some of it's darker, some of it's lighter, some of it is white. Or off-white to create the textures on my little fox. He's got kind of a furry little face and a furry chest that's lighter color, and then his back, arms, and legs and the top part of his tail are darker, and then the very end of the tail is white again. So that's kind of what I'm trying to create as I'm doing this. I had no reference photo, so I hope it looks like a fox. I tried to make the slanty little eyes and the big ears that foxes have and the big fluffy tail with the white tip. I wish this wasn't at the bottom of the screen. If only you could adjust that after the fact. That would be really great. But once a picture or a video is taken, it's taken, and you can't get what else is outside of it. So you guys get the idea. You've seen me do this before, and you can kind of see me doing it again. I'll push it back up into the center here in a second. Just working on his little face. I'm trying to decide if the top of his nose has red or is it white, and I finally decided it must kind of fade into white as it goes down the ridges of his nose. That's what I was figuring. Just going from memory. I actually saw a fox once. We were camping out on the White Sands at White Sands National Monument. I don't know if you still can, but you used to be able to get a special permit to go tent camp out on the White Sand Hills there. And there was a little fox, and he just trotted right by our tent, took a look at us, and then was like, okay, just kept going. It's pretty cool. I think that's the only time I've ever seen a fox, except for maybe in a zoo. Okay, so I used a heavier weight glue. That's the matte medium. And because it's matte, and I used that to glue on my cutout piece, which I fussy cut, then I needed to go back over it again with the other glue because it's satin, so it's kind of shiny. So if I had a combination of the satin and the shiny, it would look stupid. So I went back over it and then dried it. And now I have my Faber-Castell artist brush pen set out, and I'm using navy blue to go around the edges of the fox to add a shadow so that it blends into the background better. And I'm blending that with my finger. This is India ink inside a pen, so it's permanent, and it does give you a couple seconds to blend if you're on a non-porous surface. If you're on absorbent paper, it will just suck right into the paper and you can't blend. But since I've put the medium over this and made it non-porous because now it's sealed, then you can easily blend it for a couple seconds with your finger, and then when it's dry, it's done. Now this one is like a charcoal gray color, and I'm using it to just add in some details. Where the shadow around his nose would be. This is so tiny that I really can't put in these shadows using the paper because I can't tear it that small. And so I'm using the artist brush pen to do that. Just a little bit of shadowy details. And also I think I used my Posca pen to do the nose and the eyes to make them really black. I must have already done it. And then a little highlight with the white Posca pen. A little bit in his ears, around his muzzle. So this is my little foxy. Pretty fun. Once that's all dried up, I'm going to go around the edges with the blue archival ink pad just to finish off the edges. And then I just write the word Foxy at the bottom. And that's it for this one. That's day 22. And here's your close-up. So for day 23, I decided to do some jelly printing. And this is a 3x5 little jelly from Jelly Arts jelly plate. And I realized that that's the same size as an index card. So I decided I felt like jelly printing. I love jelly printing. I think it's really a lot of fun. So I had these other cards that already have a little bit of color on them. and I decided to just make a few more layers on top of them. So if you don't like jelly printing, you might want to skip ahead. Skip ahead, move that little bar forward so that you don't have to watch me do it. I'm just using some different stencils. This is the real basic jelly printing, nothing fancy. These papers I was messing around with Tattered Angel Glimmer Mist, and so I have some different kind of half-colored ones that just felt like jelly printing. Sometimes you just feel like jelly printing. Okay, lots of times you feel like jelly printing. I've got copper, I've got purple, I've got some Titan Buff colors, and I'm just messing around. I like to add a lot of layers to my prints because I think it makes them look interesting. Then this is some pink and some orange. That is PBO Studio Dyna acrylics, which are very shimmery. So threw some of that on there. The copper is also a PBO paint, acrylic paint. That's the Titan Buff. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just messing around. Just having fun. And I'll probably use all these up as we go along. I think there's still, 38 days left of index cards, so I'm sure I'll use them up at some point. And if I don't, I'll use them in my color boxes for collaging later, because the paper's light enough to do that. Now I've got out some greens. Just throwing some green on there. A couple of them already had green Glimmer Mist on them, so trying to go with colors that complement each other. Green and purple are complementary. Of course, if you mix them together, you get brown. But as long as they're dry in between, you're fine. That is actually a mask. People often call stencils masks and masks stencils. That people get confused. If there's a square around it and it's cut out, it's a stencil. If it's the cutout portion that was inside and is now cut out, it's a mask. It's just the easy way to think about it. There I mixed some light green, almost a viridian, trying to go with that copper, because copper, it will change color if left out in the world into a green color. So I kind of blended that onto my little jelly plate, the little tiny one. So I think I'm done, and I'm just looking at them, and then I pick one to use for today, which is very grungy looking, and I thought it looked kind of steampunk. So I decided to make something with it. This is packaging from some little clips. Like there was a bunch of little clips on there. I can't remember what brand it is. But it has words on it, and so I saved it thinking I could use the words on journal pages or tags or, index cards. So I make a pencil drawing. I picked out that thing that said "My Girl." And remember, I'm thinking it's kind of steampunky, so I made a little pencil drawing, and now I'm inking it. This time I'm using the Prismacolor pigment pens instead of my Faber-Castell, just because that's what was on the pile. I like the Faber-Castell better, but these work fine. They're permanent, so you can color over the top of them. And I'm just inking my drawing. I use a couple different sizes. The details of her face and inside some of the jewelry needed a really super small one, so that's the 005 one, and then I used the regular 0.5 for the rest of it. Then I'm just erasing my pencil marks, and I'm going to color. So I'm looking for something to color. Oh, that's right. I knew I had a couple gears that are die cut that I used for masks at one point on one of my journal pages. And I knew they were in that box, so I looked for them and decided to glue them onto this as well. These pins are brush pins that are from Japan, and they're similar to the Zig Clean Color pins. They've got that little brush on the end like you would have on a water barrel brush, and they're just filled with color. It's water soluble. It's not anything, earth shattering. I just like them because they have a brush, like a little paintbrush, instead of a felt tip type of a paintbrush. I know that some of them are called brush pins when they actually have a felt tip pointy thing on them. These have the same type of a synthetic paintbrush that you get in a water barrel brush. And the color's just inside. You could make your own by just putting color inside a water barrel brush. I've seen people do that before. Make watercolors inside a water barrel brush so that they have all the colors. Good for travel if you travel a lot, you teach and travel and stuff like that. So I'm just using the different color markers to color her in. That's pretty self-explanatory. While I'm coloring, I will mention, of course, that this challenge is from daisyyellowart.com. So if you want to play along, you can go check that out. And also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe so that you don't miss any videos, or leave me a comment so that I know that you were here, or share it on some sort of media if you want to, because all those things tell YouTube that I'm making something valuable that people might want to see, and so they will recommend my videos. So that's why it helps my channel, and also could help somebody that you think might like it. So now I'm just going back in with some details. I did use a gold pen for some details. You can see it right there. That's a Sharpie poster pen. It's their water-based acrylic pens, and it's a fine tip. And I put that on some of the details. And then I'm just going and adding highlights like I do with a white Posca pen, because I like the way that looks. So now some fussy cutting. We'll just cut that part out. And now to just glue my composition together, I'm going to use, before I do that, I'm going to seal my, that's a water soluble markers that I used. So the way that I seal that is I just put a little drop of matte medium on there, and then I just roll over it with my little brayer and let that dry, and now the color is all sealed in. If you try to do that with a brush, it smears because you're pressing down on the paper to rub in the medium, and it smears. So if you just roll over it a couple times, not excessively, but just a couple times with the brayer, that works perfectly, and then it's all sealed, and I don't need to worry about it smearing and running and getting all yucky when I apply it to the card with some glue. So now I'm just gluing on all my elements. This is the golden matte medium. These pieces that I'm gluing on are cardstock weight, so they're heavier. So you need a heavier glue to glue those on. When I get to the girl that is on very lightweight printer paper, I will use liquid matte medium to apply her, because it's lightweight paper. Sometime I'm going to get some of that DecoArt's napkin applique paper and not paper, medium, and see how that works, because I have trouble applying napkins. I tend to overwork them and they get torn, so I'm wondering what's different about that. Probably going to have to get some one of these days. Maybe when I get rich. So an interesting thing is happening that you probably can't see, but these little cardstock gears that I die cut for another project, I used them as masks when I was doing that project. I believe it's on YouTube. It's a steampunk art journal page that I did last November during NaNoWriMo, which I'm going to do again this year. That's making an art journal page every single day. And that was really fun. But anyway, they have dilution sprays on them, and there's some turquoise on there, and as I was applying them to the card, I got a little bit of turquoise bleed, which actually I liked. I was happy about it. It just added an extra element to that background, which didn't have any turquoise in it. So I don't know if you'll be able to see that in the close-ups or not, but it was pretty cool. I liked the way it looked. It's very, grungy, distressed looking. So then I inked around the edges with black archival ink just to finish off the edges, and now I'm adding some Inca Gold wax gold stuff to add some metallic to those gears. They're kind of rough from all the layers of stuff on them. The final thing that I did was to use my Stabilo All pencil and go around the outside of the girl and then add that shadow to help her blend into the background by blending that with my water barrel brush. So that will be the last thing, and I'll dry it up and everything will be done with this card. So thanks for watching. That's it for me. Bye bye.